Hi everyone, welcome back to another cook along with me, Kelvin, and today we are going to be learning how to cook this delicious chickpea curry. It's packed full of vegetable goodness. It takes less than an hour to cook, and let me tell you, tastes absolutely amazing. So if you fancy cooking it with me, let's get started.
First, I need to wash my hands. Soap in here. Excellent. Righty ho, so let's look at our ingredients. What do we have here? So, you will need onions over here. So, I've got 3 onions because these 2 onions are quite small. But if you have sort of this size, medium to large onion, you will only need 2, but I've got 3 just because these onions are quite small. I've got 2 tomatoes, like these. I have spinach over here. Got 2 tins of chickpeas. And in terms of spices, I have turmeric over here. Got garam masala. I have cumin and salt. So I've got a teaspoon of each in here. And I also have a teaspoon of black mustard seeds. Now, optionally, if you like your food spicy, then I would suggest some chili powder. But this is all optional, so if you don't like it spicy, I wouldn't add too much of this. And obviously, if you want a bit of garnish, so that's a posh word for just putting something nice on top, then here's some fresh coriander. And we will also need some vegetable oil, which I will get out. So I've also got some vegetable oil right here. And we've got some garlic here as well. So this is all we need for the curry. And I'm going to be serving that with some rice. I've just got some rice here, and I'll also be teaching you how I cook rice. So that is all we will need for this delicious chickpea and spinach curry. So I've got a wide bottomed pan here. It's a bit of a pot, more a pot, and also a little pot just to cook my rice. Righty ho, are we ready to start? Excellent, let's get cooking, shall we? So we're just going to start with these onions first. So I just need to chop these onions. So I'm going to put this here. I've got a knife. So obviously, if you're using anything sharp, really important that we have parental supervision when we're using knives. So please do not use a knife without supervision. So I'm going to build a bridge with my hands like this. Got my knife here, put the knife in between the bridge and cut down like this, nice and slowly. And we're going to use that just to peel this onion carefully, just so we want to take that outer layer off. And what we're left with is this lovely bit here. Do the same on the other side. Just peel the outer layer, like so. And of course, onions are known for making you cry when you cut them. So if you do need to, a good tip sometimes is to have a piece of bread in your mouth. Right, so today we're going to cut the onions like this, so we don't need to go too crazy. So I'm going to build a little bridge here, like this, and line up my fingers like this, and just very slowly cut down nice and controlled, and we're going to let the knife do the work. It's not a race at all, so we don't need to go too quick at all. So I'm just going to make some nice, like so. So it doesn't have to be too fine at all. There we go. Just going to slice this bit. So we're always making sure that our fingers are pointing down like this. So same again here, just really slowly. We don't have to go too crazy at all, nice and controlled. And move like so, making sure we tuck our thumb behind our fingers. Go. There we go. That's one onion slice. So now we've got our first onion sliced. I'm going to turn the heat on. I'm going to put it to, so this one goes up to 6, so I'm just going to go put it on 5 just to get it nice and hot. We'll let that heat up. In the meantime, we will start to chop out of onions. So again, the bridge, like so. You're going to cut right in the middle here. So you see where that bit is. We're going to cut it right in the middle. Okay. So now we've got this bit, we peel the skin like this. So these are quite, as I said, these are quite small onions, hence why I've got two extra ones. And it gets same again, nice and slow, no need to rush. Just gonna very slowly slice the onion. Making sure we point our fingers down and tuck our thumb in. Like this, there we go. Peel the onion. The skin. Oh, starting to cry now. Second week in a row, got some tears going. Lovely, so again, nice and slowly. Fingers like this, tuck our thumb behind our fingers. I'm just going to let the knife do the work. You don't need to rush at all. Nice and slowly. Okay. Excellent. I've got one more. So I can see my pan is starting to get hot now. So I'm just going to peel these 2 onions. Just cut this little end bit off here. So I can hear, so there's a bit of water in my pan, so I can hear that going, which means it's definitely hot enough. So we're going to get 2 tablespoons of oil. If you're trying to maybe really watch it on the health, then you can definitely get away with 1. But I would recommend 2 to make sure. That's 1. That's 2. Right. Now that that's done, just going to swirl the oil around. Make sure the pot is covered. I'm going to turn the heat down now to 4. It was on 5, so I've got 4. And I'm going to put the black mustard seeds into the pan. And we're going to let that fry for a minute. In the meantime, just going to finish slicing these onions. Get nice and slowly. Just slicing the onions. No need to rush. Fingers pointing down. In the meantime, well, so watch out here. The oil is going to be hot. So I'm just going to put all this sliced onion into the pan. Finish slicing this final onion. Nice and slowly, no need to rush. There we have it. So, just going to get my spoon here. I'll get one of these. I'll get a wooden spoon here. Wooden spoon. And I'm just going to stir the onions in the oil and give it a good old mix. Try to separate all those onions out. Lots of different rings there. There you go, so you're going to let that cook out for at least 10 minutes. You can see what it's doing now, you can hear the sizzle really start to smell. So making sure that we stir every now and again, okay, so it doesn't burn. So yeah, I'm gonna let that go. In the meantime, I'm just going to clear up my workstation. I'm just going to put all this on here. Put this on here. So if you've got compost bin, please put it in the compost bin. Onions. The onions are going to be frying for a while now. So in the meantime, we can get some other things ready. So let that fry away. So in the meantime, we can prepare our tomatoes and garlic. We've got our tomatoes here. And we have our garlic. We only really need 2 cloves, but again, some of these cloves are a bit small, so I've gone for 3. So I'm just going to give these a little rinse. With the tomatoes, you don't have to cut them too fine. So I've cut in half here, half again, and half again. So we've just got these little. Now from here, we're just going to slice like so. So just really roughly chop them. Excellent. So again, half again. And it doesn't really matter how big these are. It's not too big. And just making sure that we're really safe whilst we're chopping. So there we go. Excellent. So that's one tomato done. So again, half. We're going to use our bridge again, like that. Use our bridge again, half and half. Bridge again, half. These tomatoes are delicious. Absolutely delicious. And we're just going to cut those up like so. So don't worry too much about getting these even or perfect. They're all just going into the sauce. A lot of juice will come out. Try and keep all of that liquid, because that will help keep our. So I'm just going to stir this. Onions, so making sure we're continually stirring the onions. You don't want them to burn. So keep on stirring. I had my heat on 4, but I'm just going to go with 3 now, because I think it's cooking a little bit too quickly for my liking. So do check on the colour, because we want them to be sort of a little bit golden, but not too much. So there we go, that's looking good. So I'll turn it down a little bit. And now I'm just going to cut my garlic. So again, we're going to use this pushing down, and fingers facing down. If you have a garlic press, then this makes it a lot easier. Just put it in the garlic press and crush it. Again, nice and slowly. Just going to tuck our thumb behind, fingers pointing down, holding what you have. Very finely chopping the garlic. So now I've got all this, I'm just going to chop it a little bit more fine. And once you go here, you can just get your hand on top of the knife and just rock the knife back and forth till you get the garlic nice and finely chopped. And again, we're just checking back on our onions, giving them a good stir. You don't want them to burn. So that's looking pretty good. So what I don't have, which you might see in the recipe, is tomato puree. I couldn't find any. I mean, it's just as good without tomato puree. But I'll tell you when to put the tomato puree in, if you do have tomato puree, because it just adds a little bit more flavour to the recipe. It's a bit more depth. Okay, so my onions looking like this, and this is probably as golden as I want them to get. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my garlic in there. All my garlic. And I'm going to add that into the mix. And I just want to cook that out for a minute or so. Just to get a little sizzle. And now it's at this point, so if you do have tomato puree, add a tablespoon of tomato puree into your onion mix. And you just want to cook that out for 1 or 2 minutes if you do have it, okay? So for those of you who have tomato puree, add it now and give it a good old stir and let it cook out for a minute. Okay, so my garlic has cooked. Now, let's start to smell it. So we're going to go in with the tomatoes. So in we go with the tomatoes. Push all that into the pan. Get all the juice in there as well. Give that a good old stir. Tomatoes are now in. So this is our base. This is our curry base. And you can see all the juice from the tomatoes has cleaned all the bottom of the pan. So there was all like brown stuff at the bottom of the pan. That's a lot of the onion flavour. So that's all gone from the pan now, from the tomatoes, so it's all into our sauce. So, tomatoes are in. And what I'm going to do is get the lid and just let the tomatoes sit in there for a little bit. So, I'm just going to locate where this lid is. It's over here. So I'm just going to turn the heat down to 2, so maybe if you're at home, it's like a medium low. Turn the heat down and let it cook down with the lid on. Lovely, so that is cooking and we're going to leave that for around 4 to 8 minutes, depending on how broken down those tomatoes are. So that's the curry done just for now. We'll come revisit that in a little bit. Next, rice. This is how I cook my rice. Everyone has different ways of cooking their own rice, but this is the way that I found to be easiest for me. But you work with whatever you feel comfortable with. Sometimes you might have packet rice that you put in the microwave. That's, you know, a lot easier. But if you're cooking your rice from scratch, I've got basmati rice here. So what I'm going to do, I've got a mug, an ELHAP mug. So I'm just going to fill this ELHAP mug with the rice. Now a mug like this will probably feed, oh look, it's just almost perfect. Oh, perfect, there we go. So a mug like this will probably be able to do 2 to 3 people, depending on how hungry you are. So I've got a mug here, and I'm just going to put it into this pan, like so. Now we just need to rinse the rice a few times. We've got cold water, and we're just going to rinse it. So this is how so we're just going to give it a good old stir, like so. Now, I'm just going to stir the tomatoes. Making sure the tomatoes are okay, so it's not catching at the bottom. They're looking really good and smelling really good. Okay. So I find this the best way to do the rice. So put it there, give it a good old swirl, keeping the rice within there, and then just drain. You can see all this liquid. It's got, you know, it's all white. That's all the starch from the rice, which can make it really sticky. So we sort of just want to wash a bit of that off so that our rice is nice and fluffy. So yeah, use your hands, get it stuck in there, give it a good old rinse. Rinsey, rinsey. And drain it again. You can see that the liquid is still quite white. So we'll do one more. And look, the liquid's a lot clearer now, which is good. So there we go. I think 3 times is usually enough. So we're going to drain as much of the liquid out as possible here. Now, with that same cup here, I put 1 mug of rice in, okay? So in terms of water, so we've drained out all the water from the pan. In terms of water, I want to put 1.5 mugs of water for every 1 mug of rice. So it looks a little bit like this, okay? So for every 1 mug of rice that you use, 1.5 mugs of water. So, uncovered, we're going to heat the pan to high heat, okay? So I'm going to put it on 5. And we're just going to heat that pan up. So it's cold water with the rice. So we're going to let that heat up. In the meantime, I'm going to look at my wonderful curry, which is looking really, really nice. Give it a good old stir. And as you can see, the tomatoes are getting really soft now. The onions are very, very soft. This is good. This is our base, so we really want to cook it for a while so that the flavours can be really, really deep. So this is one of the things that when I was making curries before, I always found that the flavours weren't really there, weren't very strong. I was wondering why they were so bland. But I found out that it's really important. This step of allowing the onions and the tomatoes to cook for a long time, like slowly, really helps to develop the flavours. So this is a really important step. So don't rush it, is what I'm saying. So I'm going to put it on for a little bit longer. Let that cook out. Flip it back on. And as you can see, our rice is over here. So that's pretty much it for a bit. So I'm just going to, while we're waiting, do a little bit of washing up. So you can come join me on the washing up pipe. I'm going to wash my knife. And have a little wipe of the surfaces. Okay. And then I'll also get a tin opener. Just opened my 2 tins of chickpeas, so that they're ready. So again, if you need adult supervision for opening the tins, a good idea to get an adult to help you with this. It can be quite difficult. Very good. Right. Let's have a look where we're at here. Looking delicious. The lid's very hot, so do be careful. So I'm just going to give this a good old stir, and as you can see, tomatoes are really soft now. Really soft. Looking very good. So I think we are just about ready to add our spices. So again, we have garam masala, cumin, turmeric and salt. We have 1 teaspoon of each. If you want to use less salt, please use less salt, okay? So we're just going to tip that into our mix. And just turn the heat up. So I'm on 2 at the moment, so if you're on a medium-low, just put it on medium now. Give it a good old mix. And immediately you'll be able to smell the gorgeous spices start to cook. And I like my curries a little bit spicy, so I'm going to add a teaspoon of chili powder. But please don't add chili powder if you don't like your food spicy. There we go. So you should be able to smell all the amazing spices come together. So we want to just let those spices cook in the onions and the oil. So look, can you see now our rice is bubbling? So what that means is we need to turn it right down. So as soon as the rice starts bubbling, turn it down to the minimum setting that you have on your hob and put a lid on it, like so. So that's all you need to do, okay? So as soon as the water starts bubbling, turn it to the lowest setting, which we've done here, and put a lid on it and just let it sit. In the meantime, we're going to let our curry and the spices cook out. And the smell, you should be able to smell the goodness from all the spices. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's making me very hungry. So you should be able to see here what it looks like. Looking very good. So yeah, as I said, let that cook out for a few minutes. So the rice is going, curry's going. Clean this. Looking very good at the moment. Very much looking forward to it. In the meantime, we'll just chop up some coriander. So I've got some lovely coriander here that I just got from the shops. So we can start to pick out some of these. So I'm just going to clean my board now. I'll just get a bowl, my spoon in. Just going to clean this board out. So it's always a good option to clean up as you go along, because it just means that you'll have less to clean later on. If you've got more than one person cooking, it's good to give yourselves some roles in the kitchen. So sometimes if I'm cooking with more than one person, like one of us will clean and one of us will cook. And good combo to have. So then here's the rice mug. So I can really start to smell those spices now coming from the mix. Oh, smelling fantastic. So making sure that those spices don't catch on the bottom. But that is good enough for me, I think. Excellent. So now our chickpeas we've already opened the tins. So including the water, we're going to put the chickpeas in. Okay, so you're going to add the water that they're in, like so. Just gonna slowly stir that into the mix. And there you have it. So that is most of it done. So it's super easy to put together. I think from start to finish has only been, well, from start to now it's only been about 25 minutes to get to this point. And we're just going to let that bubble away. So we're going to wait for it to come to a boil, so once the bubbles start coming up. And then we're going to let that bubble away and let all those flavours from the spices and the onions and the tomatoes that we've just cooked get into that chickpea liquid, and the chickpeas to soak up some of that flavour. So we can leave it uncovered here just for a little bit. It's smelling fantastic. See, our rice is doing really well. So it's just absorbing all that liquid. So we're going to let that go. Still remember it's on the minimum setting with the lid on. But yeah, it's looking fantastic. So our tins we'll obviously put to recycle. So I'll leave this to one side and make sure we recycle that. But yeah, now we're just going to wait really until the sauce is at the consistency we want, because we want our sauce to be a little bit thicker than this. So we're going to have to cook it out a little bit and just allow that sauce to thicken up and all those wonderful flavours to come together. And also we just have to keep an eye on the rice. So as soon as all that water's evaporated, that's when we will take the rice off. So yeah, as I said, making sure we clean up as we go along. I'll keep the salt here. I'll put the oil away now. And I've also just got a little bit of sugar here. And again, that's optional, but we'll come back to that later. But we've got a lot of acidic things in here with the garlic, tomato, onions, a lot of strong flavours, and sometimes to balance it out you can add a little bit of sugar, which we will be doing. So yeah, that's all optional. But yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of the cooking for now. It's great. Our spinach already here on the packet, as you can see, it says washed and ready to eat. So you don't need to wash it, but if you some spinach you need to wash, so you just put it in a colander and rinse it under the tap. So just do read the packet for that. And I'm just going to rinse some of the coriander I've got here. So I'm just going to put 2 wonderful leaves. So I'm just going to pick out these leaves. Good, give them a good rinse. going to get stirred in later. So we'll just put that into as well. I'm going to put that into our curry later. And that's what you want to see. So you just want to see it blip and bubble away. For a good 12 to 15 minutes, depending on how hot you've got it and what consistency you like your sauce. So making sure that every so often, like every minute or so, we just give it a little stir to make sure it doesn't burn. And keeping an eye on the rice. It's looking very, very good. So again, just keeping an eye on the rice, making sure that as soon as that water's drained, that we take it off the heat. So yeah, I will come back to you guys in 5 to 10 minutes. I'm just going to keep an eye on the rice and the sauce, and we'll be back after that. Right, it's been just over 5 minutes and I've seen here that my rice, most of the water's gone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift the lid carefully because it's hot, and I'm just going to use a fork and just have a little look at the bottom and see if there's any liquid left. I can see there's no liquid left. That means the rice is cooked, and we'll just fluff up the rice like so. And it's nice and fluffy, it's looking really, really good. And then we're going to turn the heat off and just leave for a couple of minutes just to steam. So let's leave the rice to steam for a little bit. And that's cooked really well. And you can see, very, very fluffy. You can just see there, super fluffy rice. So that's looking really good. So yeah, we'll let that steam for a little bit. And in the meantime, this is what our curry is looking like. Again, just blipping away, looking really tasty. It's smelling fantastic. And I like, my curries to be, the sauce to be a little bit thicker than this. So we're just going to wait out a little bit longer. You can see it's a little bit runny still. So I just want the sauce to be a little bit thicker. So we're just going to cook that out for another 5 or 10 minutes and see how it's looking. So we'll come back to it in 5. So, as you can see, the sauce has thickened right up. I left it for just over another 5 minutes. And you can just see by the way that it's running down that the sauce is a lot thicker. So that's pretty much where I want it to be now. Looks fantastic. So, very steamy there. So yeah, this is what it's looking like now. So it's smelling great, absolutely great. So now the finishing touches. So what I want to do is turn the heat right down to the bottom. So I'll just put it on, I've got it on 1 now. Turn the heat right down, and we've got our spinach here. So we're going to add all of our spinach. So as I said earlier, this is already washed, so I don't need to wash it, but sometimes you do need to wash it. So I've got all that spinach that we're going to put in. And it's going to wilt away really quickly. So even though it seems like a lot, once we mix it into the sauce, it's going to wilt away. So it's going to get really small once it gets in there. There we go. So really slowly mix all of that goodness in. Spinach is packed full of vitamins, so it's really, really good for you. So you definitely want to add that spinach in there. Smelling absolutely fantastic. There we go. It's looking good. Lovely. So yeah, spinach is wilting away in there. So there we go, that's the spinach in. So, then just add a little pinch of sugar to balance it out. So I'm just going to put a tiny bit of sugar in there. Just look at my... So I'm just going to put a little bit of sugar in there, but this is optional, but I feel like just to balance out the flavours a little bit of sugar is important. But again, if you're trying to avoid sugar, no need to put it in, it's just an optional extra. And that is your curry very much good to go. Now, another optional extra, if you're feeling a little bit like you want your curry to be creamy, because a lot of people like their curries creamy, I have got some coconut yogurt. Now you can have plain yogurt, you can have double cream. This is actually plant-based, this is vegan, but yeah, depending on what your preference is. So yeah, all you need here is, oh, it's gone a bit everywhere. So if you've got double cream, or if you've got plain yogurt, I like coconut yogurt, so just add 2 tablespoons in there, into the sauce. And it will really turn this into something very, very delicious. So you can see what that sauce looks like now. And yeah, it really is something. And it smells very, very nice. Oh, smells very, very good. And there you have it. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to check for seasoning. So I'm going to get a spoon. Just get one of these out. And again, look, remember, this is really, really hot. So please blow, if you're going to taste it for seasoning, just blow gently. But make sure it's okay to eat, because it's going to be really, really hot. Wow. That is absolutely delicious. I don't actually need to add anything on top of that. For me, that's good, but you know, you might want to add a little bit of salt. You might want to add a little bit more sugar, depending on your taste and your health needs. But for me, that's absolutely perfect. So now I'm going to start plating up. First, I'm just going to add some of this coriander in. So, put this to one side. Knife. Just very roughly chop this coriander. Very roughly chop. No need to go too crazy. So to finish, just top with the coriander, and you have yourselves an absolutely delicious, healthy curry. There you have it. So let's plate it up, shall we? So I've got a lovely bowl here. Lovely bowl. I'm going to start with the rice. So I turned the rice off for a while ago, so I keep the heat on. get myself a spoon like this. Yeah. So, just going to. So this amount of rice, as I said, 2, 3, maybe even 4 people with this amount of rice. Just going to make myself a little portion, like so. Lovely jubbly. That's my rice. Now I'm just going to add this wonderful sauce on top. Carefully. Put it down in the middle there. So this serving should serve 3 to 4 people, depending on how hungry they are, really. There you go. Just going to give that a good old clean up. So, and then just going to clean that up. So depending on how you like it presented, I'm just going to clean that up there. I can finish off with a few more fresh coriander leaves, like so. And I'm just going to top mine. I like mine spicy, so I'm just going to top mine with some chili flakes, but again, do not add chili flakes if you don't like your food spicy. I'm just going to top it with some chili flakes, like so. There you have it. Wonderful chickpea curry.
Thank you so much for joining me for another cook along. I hope you enjoy your meals. Oh, I cannot wait to tuck into mine. And I'll be seeing you next week for another delicious recipe that's healthy and easy to make. And I look forward to seeing you then. Enjoy the weather, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Bye.